Let's watch this.
None other than my boy, Brandon Bufford. What's up, bro?
Oh,
What's up, bro?
shit.
How you feeling,
Yeah,
man?
yeah,
It's
good,
all
good,
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 man.
for sure.
Finally.
I didn't even know he was in this podcast. I like him. I thought it was Buford. I came up watching this dude. Now he has a whole separate business. He does fashion. Before that, the hat fired, by the way. But before that, dude was a legendary barber. I seen this man level up, and he's a humble guy. Him getting enough love in the industry these days.
Finally got an opportunity, man, to talk to you and to get you in the studio and just have a dope conversation, man. So how's everything going with you, bro?
I'm blessed, man. No complaints.
That's what's
No
up.
complaints.
That's what's up, man. So, man, you know what's crazy is I've watched you and we talked offline, and I told you that you were the first barber that I got my hair cut before I went bald. Did you the first one to do my beard and do my hair, bro, in Arlington, Texas, man, when I moved to Dallas. And it's so crazy how time flies and to see the things that you're doing, bro.
Sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's get into it, man. So you are obviously doing some amazing things. I mean, it's very obvious. People can just find you and see all the things that you're doing. But in terms of shop ownership and understanding how that whole process works, what would you say was your transition? How did you transition from just a barber to becoming a barbershop owner?
I think that because I had accomplished pretty much every goal I set out to do when I first started in the industry, I was probably fresh out of high school. So I was about 19, 20. And, my goals fresh out of, was cutting, building clientele.
Yeah.
Then, of course, I wanted to cut the celebs, the athletes, all that kind of stuff. And then I got into that. I'm in my late 20s, and then I was no longer fulfilled. Wow. I was like, wow, okay, I've cut him, I've cut them, I've went there, did that. And I was like, it's not all what it's hyped up to be after I done it, though.
I understood.
Before, that's the goal.
Tell.
Who you cut, it's an amazing experience.
So
I don't want to take away from that.
That ain't no amazing experience. He's being humble. I don't give a damn who I cut. Man, if some of y'all had God, you would realize how the status come from who you cut. Bro, what is your contribution? What are you responsible for? The biggest, like a great man is responsible for some shit. I think it's Brandon, right? Brandon Buford. Is it Brandon Buford? I'm sorry if I hacked your name. Big fan. Either way, big fan. I'm just terrible with names. Bro, you speaking facts, bro.
Any young barber who's interested in cutting celebrities and the athletes and stuff like that. But once you get into it, you'll realize it's not what it's all hyped up to be. So I got to a point where I was like, man, I'm no longer fulfilled. And it's almost like I almost had a burnout.
Wow.
I had a burnout, and I feel like when I got an opportunity to open up a shop, the owner of the shop that I worked in passed away. Wow. So I knew the shop was about to go through a transition, and I was like, I had a client, man, who, my clients was like, B, what you gonna do? Where you gonna move around? How's, So all of a sudden I had a client that, by the way, his name is Charles Smith.
Okay.
Former NBA player out of Fort Worth. They call him Spider. Very known in Fort Worth as Spider.
Okay.
He was asking me, man, won't you open up your own shop? And I'm like, I ain't got no money. Like, what I'm saying? So I was like, I'm just looking around for another suite. Because that's why I was in at the time, a suite.
Okay.
So he came in again, maybe like a month or so. He was like, man, why don't you open up your own? I'm thinking like, bro, like,
I ain't trying to do this.
I ain't got no money.
Right.
I ain't got the money to open up a shop.
Right.
So he's like, man, start looking for a shop. And I was just like, oh, all right. You
Yeah.
know. At the time, man, I was stressed out kind of,
Look, I hate these type of partnerships, but I get it. It's so hard to trust people. Like this is marriage. And a lot of times people don't realize that. You know what a divorce is like? You can't just go into business with people, bro. You got to fill them out. You got to know who they are. You gotta test them a little bit. You gotta make things uncomfortable. What's it look like if this? What's it look like if that? You gotta test their patience. Because when you go to business with people, it's like getting married. So sometimes when someone's under desperation, they'll just go to business with someone, and you might lose 5 years of your life doing some shit like that. But then there's every now and then I see it when a person's doing well for themselves and they're just like, yo, I believe in this guy. And if I invest in his business, I'm expecting to lose it. If I make some money, that's just a side effect of supporting somebody I believe in, but I can afford to. I think that's a little bit different. That's what this feels like. Cause he wasn't like, what's your clientele like? What's these numbers like? Boom, 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 boom. He's just like, bro, just find a shop, find a spot. You figure, yeah, I got you. I got the answer to your question when, where you gonna find the money? Just go find a shop, That's what that sounds like. Am I wrong?
Just like, man, I didn't want to leave the spot that I was in, but I was like, man, here it is. I got to find another location. You know how it is, find another location. It's not as easy. So next thing you know, so I go ahead and just start looking. I'm like, let me go look. It was almost like I ain't had nothing else to do that day. So I was like, let me just go look for, I had an ideal of the type of shop that I wanted to open up, but I didn't know where to start.
Okay.
No resources, no nothing. So I was like, all right, let me just get out here. I ain't got nothing else to do today. Let me go out here and look for something. I found something.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this more like what I like. It was inside of an office building, not a barbershop, not a typical traditional barbershop that you can just see driving by and, walk in and it's like, oh, okay. So found something. I was like, all right. When he came back, I was like, all right, I'm going to shoot it.
If you in 6FB, you already know. That hurt my heart hearing him say it wasn't in a plaza. It was in an office building. Oh, my God.
So I found a location. Now, I don't have no college experience, no business plan. I don't know how to do none of that. So I'm like, I don't know what he going to ask for. But it's like, hey, bro, I don't got all that. I come from the mud.
Yep.
So I never forget, man. He came in, got his haircut, and he was like, I said, I want to show you something. You come get your haircut. I found a location, whatever. So he came and got his haircut. We left. I showed him the location, the office, but I just showed it to him, kind of shared my vision with him on what I would do.
Right.
Just here,
looking at
nothing on paper.
Yeah.
After I showed it to him, he like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? Didn't really know him too much. Had been prior. I've been cutting him probably maybe 4 or 5 months.
Wow.
Yeah. Next thing you know, we chilled in the parking lot, kind of talked, and he was like, I'll never forget, man. He was like, how much you need to probably start? I'm kind of like, no, I ain't really just. So all of a sudden, I just threw it out there, 10,000.
Wow.
I just
Yeah.
So all of a sudden he was like 10,000. He was like, all right, I'll be right back. He was like, chill right here or whatever. Came back, gave me 10 grand and said, open up your shop. And I was like, dang,
Then I just say it. It's just some people that look. 10,000 was a fortune to this guy. It's people that 10,000 they make that shit in a week, in a day, in an hour. Like these NFL players making that shit in 30 minutes.
Like, man, just like that.
Wow.
So
what was that feeling like though, B?
But it's all relative, right? Like it's still sacrifice, regardless. It's still sacrifice, but I ain't trying to sound ungrateful or nothing like that. Not at all. I'm just saying there's levels, right?
When you received 10,
I know it was God. It was the most money that I ever had.
And look, like I said, it's all relative. This is why just money don't make you rich, 10K was my chair. That's why I was like, what 10K? Man, you can't turn a light on for 10K. You can't. That's going to be first month, last month security and the sign outside. You don't even got the light on yet. 10K, but he's before my time.
Ever.
Yeah.
So I was scared, nervous, this, that, and this, but I had that hustle. I had that grind. One thing about me, like, because of my background, how I grew up and the things, it's how they say it ain't on me, it's in me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so no matter how things are going, man, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get out there and get it. So I opened up the shop.
He definitely that type.
4 suites. It was 4 suites, So I opened up my first shop, 4 suites. I kind of already had
how you make money from that. Like you can't make money from booth rent. I do. There's not been a single person who has ever said you can't make money from booth rent that make more money than me. Humbly. I'm saying that humbly. People don't understand the value of time and leverage. And when you get to a certain level, you don't want to play with the law. You don't want to play with lawsuits. Most of you guys are running IRS illegal businesses. I don't want to play with that. Some of you guys are doing 1099 commission shops and you're breaking laws. Under an IRS audit, you would be in some shit, the majority of y'all. And you still don't make more money than my shops do. So I just don't understand how barbers are still doing this. To me, it's limited thinking. It's thinking you can't scale. You can't grow beyond yourself or one location. And that's part of the issue. Because most of the people who think that is because they feel like they can't find enough barbers. Majority, that's the thing. I don't know if I'll find enough barbers. You make fun of social media. You don't want to create a personal brand. Why would people join your team? Why would people follow you? You don't even put nothing out there. You won't spend money on ads. You won't spend money on your shop. You make fun of barbers for spending $250 on a clipper. No barber needs a $2,000 share. Like, that's your mindset. So that's what you're getting.
So essentially you had multiple locations, or multiple suites in that particular building.
Yeah, one of the guys next door to me at the time, he passed away. And the leasing agent was like, hey, Brandon, we got a spot next door if you want to take over this.
Wow.
It was, 4 more suites.
Wow.
And then, so we got permission by the city of Arlington, passed the permit, knocked down the walls, and added 4 more suites to it.
That's how he did it. So I teach barbers to skip that step, but he didn't. He comes from an era before me. He had to learn this shit literally from the mud before the internet. But he did it with more numbers, with leverage. It's becoming the person that people want to follow, and then being willing to have the patience to pour into people who want to grow. Everybody wants established barbers. It don't work like that. Those barbers were established somehow, some way, shape, or form. They don't value your mentorship. They had to get it from the mud. But you might have some first-year barbers that you can help them their first year make $10K, buy a house, all these things. They're going to value your mentorship, but you want to skip that step. You guys want to be shop owners and be lazy at the same time, and it don't work that way. What you think? I did this shit for this is why I talk my shit, bro. Because I got it from the mud and I paid the price. I sacrificed the time. I took the time to learn, to educate myself, to become the person. And then I took the time to pour into people and help people grow. When it didn't pay, people want to skip all of that. You can't. You can't do it. And if you do, it don't last.
That was the first process. That was back in like 2015 to about 2018, within a 3-year span.
I got you. Yeah. 7 barbers. Now, it's dope because I like the fact that as a shop owner, I know I had, at the time, 7 guys managing and trying to implement. But it sounds like what you've done during that time, you've created such a space where guys were developing, they were growing, they were grinding, they saw what you were doing, and you inspired them. Once you got to that point of 7 barbers, what was the next play for you?
After the 7 barbers, I got an opportunity to open up a salon. Wow. So now I'm dealing with more women.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got an opportunity to open up another salon. Same guy that invested in me, the 10 grand, I gave him back that within less than maybe like 2 years.
Yeah, here go get
So with that, he was like, dang, this cat already done gave me my money back, this, that, and this. So I didn't really want to open up a salon, but the opportunity was there, and I was like, I felt like stepping out on faith, I could do this. So all of a sudden, I reached back out to him for the resources.
Understood.
So it was a no-brainer. He was just like, yeah, you done already gave me this answer, so here goes some more. So he invested in me again, and there it is. I opened up a salon, and then that was like a salon, 16. So 16 people for the salon.
Yeah, he cooking.
Yeah, so after the salon, it was like, all right, now I was kind of starting to be like, okay, yeah, this is...
Yeah. Broke barriers.
Serious. This is getting,
Yeah.
Because it was like...
I know exactly what you're talking about, bro.
And I was like, yeah. Yeah, and it was tough to transition, but all I thought about was serving. Just serve.
I've never talked to this guy. I've never watched this video. It's not a secret, but you're not willing to do it. I got the 6FB mentorship. It's $120 a month. And I know the data. There are people who will just watch the first or the second course, and that's it. They get to 6 figures doing the first, second course, joining the live calls every week, and that's all they ever do. And they're still members because they get software from it and tools and stuff. Like, the value is not just a course. The least value is the course because no one completes it ever. There's only a small few that complete it. Like 1% of them do. But that's where the magic happens. It's the hardest thing to do, but it's the easiest thing to do. Man, the gems that are in there, most people won't ever do it. And that's just how life is.
That's all you gotta do. Just serve and let God do the rest. Serve.
I like it.
How do you serve? You gotta have the answers, man. You gotta be the solution for a lot. You gotta be the guy that people call and be willing to have that responsibility, because it sucks. Because it's thankless a lot of times. Not like people love you and all that, but most of these people are in survival mode. They can't afford to love you more than they love themselves. And sometimes you gotta love them and put them before yourself, being the servant leader. That's what it's like. That's what it's like.
When I get in people's presence, or when they do meet me, or they do see the culture of my shop, it's a reflection of me, and people want to be a part of that.
His name is
because my presence is not
Brandon
needed
Buford.
for somebody
Brandon
to feel
Buford.
the culture of my shop. My presence is not needed.
That's a bar.
You know what I'm saying? My presence is not needed. It's a culture that's set. And I already know, and my managers know, if a person fits the culture. What is the culture? It's what B done already defined.
I will say this. I think every one of my shops has culture, but they're all different. It's very difficult to cookie cutter and systemize culture, in my opinion. Can you systemize systems, the way businesses are ran, the way they look? Yes. But the culture, that's the same thing. It's very, very complex. So many people have different personalities, different problems, different challenges. They come from different backgrounds. You can't hire the exact same pieces and make the exact same pie. You just can't do it. So every culture is going to be a little bit different. But what I find is, as long as the customers are happy, as long as we're getting 5-star reviews and the business is growing, that's going to tell you the truth. It's not whether the culture is the same. Is the culture working? Is it bringing value to the marketplace? And there's so many different marketplaces, right? And I feel like I'm almost like being petty, not petty, but like it's almost semantics. But I think it's important. I think it's very important.
Foundation is laid. So you can't come in my shop doing what you want to do and how you want to do it. Now, when you come in there, you feel the culture. You're like, oh, this is different. And then the people who have tried to test the culture,
Gotta go.
it don't work.
Yep.
Yeah, they like,
That is true no matter what. That is true no matter what the culture is. If you got culture, people can't just come in and do their own thing. Just not if you got strong culture. Hell no.
dude, I don't like the way they do things around her. It's like, oh yeah, this gonna make you level up, step your game up. This is not that. Wherever you came from,
you ain't swept in a while.
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? They like,
Absolutely.
dang,
Man, you
everybody
take a long time on that cut.
Everybody like, dang, ooh. Like,
Yeah.
And I ain't even met the owner. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I like what you said about the culture of the business, because it is important. It's important to have the culture set from a manager, from an ownership perspective, because a lot of barbers that you run into, oftentimes they just want to do what they want to do. I want to get this spot. I want to make my money. You talked about a lifestyle that they want to live. They want to attract a certain, or even look like they have a certain
system,
lifestyle. And so I like what you're doing as it relates to, you built that culture to where it'll stand out if you don't fit the culture. Yeah. It'll stand out. Yeah. When it comes to that, you didn't build like a barbershop. You actually built like a brand. How did you build your brand? And how did you teach those that are working with you?
I can't finish the rest of this. I'm about to go to bed. It's 1:30 in the morning. But I encourage y'all to check out this video, man. It's Brandon Buford. The channel is the Barber Business Blueprint. It's more than a barber. I'm gonna hit that subscribe button, and I enjoy watching it. I don't know what other episodes they got, but go check it out. Finish this one out. Yeah, it seemed like he got some dope, consistent content. He's very consistent, and I like that. So I'll probably check out the Cold Cuts one. I'm a fan. The only thing I'm not a fan with on Cold Cuts is the race shit that he be doing, but everything else, I'm a fan. He got some heavy hitters in here.